Brethren, we who are strong ought to bear with the failings of the weak. Good morning, everyone. These words come from today's epistle lesson, the very first line, in fact. And at first glance, when you hear these words, we who are strong ought to bear with the failings of the weak. It almost sounds like the author of these words is saying, yes, we who are superior, we who are situated above these people, just try to put up with them. Try to tolerate them as best you can. Be polite. Endure them with all their limitations and their weaknesses. Do the best you can. Now, the author of this epistle actually has something else in mind here, but I want to speak to you today about strength and weakness. From an Orthodox perspective, who are the strong and who are the weak? You know, it's kind of ironic. The author of these words about bearing with the weak is none other than St. Paul, who was considered by many weak himself. He was criticized for being weak. Now, his letters and his epistles were powerful, no question about it, but in person, his personality seemed feeble to many, and his speech was regarded as nothing. In fact, at one particular sitting at a home, Paul was going on, and one of the people there, one of the individuals, actually fell asleep during his talk and was near a window and actually fell out the window. So again, in person, Paul seemed to lack charisma. But again, I ask you, who are the strong and who are the weak? That question, my friends, needs to be addressed inward. What may appear to look like weakness and feebleness on the outside, a gentle, humble demeanor perhaps, may in fact be apostolic strength on the inside. It's contradictory, it's counterintuitive. America loves its heroes, brash and bold and daring and fist in your face. We salute them, we honor them, we want to emulate them, we idolize them. But inside, do these pillars have the strength, for example, to endure a single dishonor with nobility? Who are the strong? Who are the weak? I want to take the example of Christ on the cross. That's why I had the parish council labor this morning and bring out this heavy thing, and the other one brought in here. And I had Father Paul Solberg, who was going to All Saints. He said, I'm going to get it to you right now because I wanted it replaced here. He had our one from the chapel in the back. He needed it for his little community. I lent it to him and I said, I want it back today. And he brought it. But I brought this out because it appears that at this particular event, there is a difference in how Eastern Christians look at the cross, with Christ on the cross. It's different from Western Christianity. In the West, the image of Christ on the cross portrays the Lord as a victim. They display the full brutality, all the blood, all the guts, all the gore. They emphasize the horror and the suffering and the shame, which evokes this sense of, pity. Let's pity the man of sorrow. But in the East, it's quite a different picture. The Lord almost appears regal, as if he is at peace. It is finished. In fact, it almost looks as if he is holding up the cross rather than the other way around. You talk about a paradox. The very name of this icon, where it appears that Christ is at his most vulnerable, his weakest, the name of this icon is called the King of Glory. And you'll see it right there. It's in Greek. O Vasilevs tis doxis. Who are the strong? Who are the weak? The divine weakness, my friends, is stronger than human power. Our Lord, while being slapped and spat on and mocked and crucified, could have easily called upon 12 legions of angels and have displayed a power the world has never seen. But instead, he chose to display his power through weakness. What can this mean for us? This jarring, absurd contradiction that when I am weak, then I am strong. What can that mean for us? What does it mean? Well, let me try to answer that with a metaphor, and I'll conclude with this. You notice that we just bless the grapes. We do that every year around the Transfiguration. That's the time of the seasons in the Mediterranean where things are getting ripe, and we thank God for it. But perhaps we would do well to see in the grape an image of our most noble and vulnerable self. The grape, in its vulnerability, in its weakness, it is crushed, it is pressed down, it is trampled upon. But somehow, through this violent process, a transformation occurs, or in the language of the season, a transfiguration occurs. Because of its simplicity, that sour grape turns into sweet wine, and later, divine wine. It could very easily instead turn into bitter vinegar, but it doesn't. I wonder, can we take a lesson from the grape? In this life, there are times that we feel crushed and pressed down and trampled upon. I know that we feel that way. When you find yourself in the midst of that turmoil, my friends, rather than self-pity, rather than lashing out in anger, rather than blaming others, rather than becoming bitter vinegar or a sour grape, all this just obscures the glory of God. Can we instead dare to believe that our Lord is up to something in our lives for our good? The process may be painful, but the potential is beyond belief. If we patiently endure and try to see the hand of God in our pain, in our shame, God will miraculously transfigure our weakness into his strength. And we will be able to describe, like St. Paul, when I am weak, then I am strong. God bless you today. Amen.